There's another riddle that needs to be solved. Before leaving her body, Divine Mother said to me, "You will go further than me." Now this was very puzzling, because there was no question that she was a God-realized being. How could she say that one could go further than God-realization? Ramana Maharshi, throughout his life, taught, "I am that." But before he left his body, he said, "Drop the I am that. There is more." This is our riddle. But there's a story already told that might give us a gleaning of the answer to this riddle. And it's that story of King David. Now, we know that King David was an enlightened soul, a great king, a great ruler. And he followed the laws handed down by Moses. But we know that King David had a son who became King Solomon. Now there was an occasion when Solomon was just a young boy, when his father, King David, was giving counsel to those who came. And amongst those who came was an old woman who every day of her life baked 3 loaves of bread, 2 of which she gave to the needy, and the 3rd she kept for her own sustenance. Now, there was a day when a man came staggering to the old woman's door, saying, "I've been accosted by a group of robbers. I have not eaten for days on end." And the old woman gave him a loaf of bread. Later in the day, another man came to her door, stating that he had been beaten up on the side of the road and left for dead, and his clothes and everything were taken from him. And so she gave him a 2nd loaf of bread. And later in the day, another man came with a similar story, and she gave him her last loaf of bread. Having given away the 3 loaves of bread, she went to King David to ask for more flour so that she could bake more bread. And King David indeed gave her a sack of flour, which she carried on her head. But as she was walking home, a great wind came by and blew the sack of wind off her head and carried it far, far out to sea. Now the woman was totally bereft. So she went back to King David, and she bewailed the fact that "I've been a good woman, I give alms, and how could this happen to me?" And King David was about to give her another sack of flour, when suddenly his young son Solomon said to his father, "Father, how can you let the wind get away with that?" King David said, "What, do you think I'm God that I can command the wind?" So Solomon said to King David, "Father, let me sit on your throne for a while." So King David got up from his throne and took his crown from his head and placed it on the head of his son and placed him on his throne. With that, the boy Solomon summoned the winds and demanded of them, who was it that carried off the sack of flour from this woman? Well, the west wind said, it was not I. I've been in my domain all day. And so did the wind from the east and the south. But then the north wind said, it was I who carried off the sack of flour, because out in the ocean there was a ship that was foundering, a great gaping hole in its side. So I carried off the sack of flour to fill the hole that was made. Just at that moment, 3 men burst into the throne room of King David's palace, carrying sacks of gold. They said, we have been saved, we've been saved. Our ship was foundering at sea when we were saved, the hole being filled, and we were able to make it into port. This gold is our gift to those who saved us. King David said, come, let us see this miracle. And so he went with an entourage down to the dock where there was the ship. And sure enough, in its side, filling the hole that had been created, was the sack of flour that had been carried from the head of the old woman. King David then recognized that his son Solomon was greater indeed than he. And we well know that King Solomon became a great monarch with an ability to command the winds. He knew the language of the birds and the animals. He carried a ring on his finger that was engraved with the great and sacred name of God, which gave him great powers. How then do we solve this riddle? Why did Divine Mother say to me, you will go further than me? Why is it that the great, great saint Ramana Maharshi said, drop the I am that. There is more. What for you is the answer to this seeming riddle? What is it that this story tells us? What is it that we recognize with the changing of the age? What's the meaning of this riddle for us?
where do you go beyond what is, that what is now is, and what has been is perfect, but then we can go further.
Absolutely.
This is a story made when I began to discover the laws of gravity. Everybody was totally amazed and astonished. And they said, how did you ever do that? And I said, I've been able to do that because I'm carried in the shoulders of giants.
Right. What is its meaning for you?